The burnt egg roll?
One thing I wanted to ask you is, so currently you're making jewelry. Like, how did you get into that
All right.
process?
So when I was living in London, I had a good friend that they had this jeweler that made their engagement rings and stuff. And before that, I knew what a jeweler was, obviously, but the most of the jewelry that I ever knew was from like you go to like the jewelry shop. You know what I mean? And in meeting this guy, he made my wedding ring. This jeweler, so his name is Antonio. He's an Italian, old school Italian jeweler. He lives in London too. And so some friends of ours used him to make their rings. And I was like, okay, I wanted to make my ring as my wedding ring as well. And so I met up with them and then got to talking to him. And he found out that he did like taught at a university in London. And so I was like, oh, that'd be quite interesting to learn how to make like rings and stuff like that. He goes, oh yeah, you can take the class, or I do like kind of private tutoring out of my workshop. And I was like, oh yeah, that might be cool. So then, yeah, so I just started going there kind of Saturday mornings for a couple hours every Saturday, and then did that for about a year. And then, started doing my own stuff, and I started selling online on Etsy when I was in the UK at first, gradually kind of building up, like repeat customers and putting stuff online and get my own website and stuff like that. And then, just kind of grew from there, really. It was kind of funny because it was one trip back to the U.S., back to St. Louis, and I was telling my grandparents, I was telling them that, that I was doing. And they're like, oh, did you know your great-great-grandfather and great-great-uncle, when they first came to the U.S. from Germany, were jewelers? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. So yeah, just a bit random that it came out. They had a couple jewelry shops in St. Louis back in like the early 1900s and stuff.
So it's in your DNA and you didn't even know.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't even know it. So yeah, it came out in me, I guess. But no one else in the family has done anything like that. So yeah, so I've just carried it on. So that was about 9 years I've been doing it now.
Oh, okay. What kind of jewelry are you making now? Like, I've seen your work on Instagram and mostly Instagram, but I guess explain to the people like what type of jewelry you make and I guess how you can get it.
Yeah, so I mainly work in silver. I do work in gold for like custom orders and stuff, just because gold's a bit more of an outlay. It's a lot more expensive just to have, if nobody's buying it at the moment, just being in stock. But so mainly silver stuff. I make stuff for men and women, and kind of a rustic style that I make, kind of inspired by the outdoors, mountains and kind of forest inspired, and just more of an organic kind of rustic kind of style to it.
But it's made out of real silver?
Yep. So I mainly use sterling silver, which is what most silver jewelry is made out of. I do some stuff in fine silver, which is like 99% silver, but it's a bit softer. So that's why most jewelers use kind of sterling silver, which is 92.5% pure silver, and has some other things to strengthen it.
The fine silver, I'm assuming, is probably more expensive, right?
Just a tad bit more, not too much, because it's only like a 7.5% difference really in the amount of silver that's in it, which isn't much. But it's more gold that when it gets a bit pricier. So you got 9K gold, which is kind of I think that's probably the lowest amount of gold content of it that you would use. I can't remember off the top of my head the exact percentage of gold. But then you got 18% or 18 karat gold, which is like kind of nearly double the amount of gold in it. You get 22 karat and 24 karat. 24 karat's the most carats you can have, but it's quite soft and it's quite yellow, like kind of a darker yellow. So a lot of people don't like that as much as the like 18 or 9K, which is a little more mellow of a yellow. That makes sense. Not just big old orangey yellow.
You do online orders too now, right?
Yep, to my website, which is goldpanpete.com. So you can see my hat there. I got my
Yeah, plug it, man. Hype up your stuff. I'll promote your stuff, and eventually I have to order some stuff because I got to support you, man.
Hey, man. There you go.
You ship internationally?
Yeah, man. Ship all over the world. Mainly, I'd say probably Australia and the US are my biggest countries that I send to. But I've sent quite a few stuff to the UK, some other places in Europe, Mexico, Canada. So yeah, ship all over the world. That's to my website. Like I said, goldpanpete.com. And then, my Instagram is at goldpanpete.
How did you come up with that name?
So I got involved with the jeweler when he was making my wedding ring. So like in my wedding ring, I have some gold that I pan myself. So this area, New Zealand, where we live, it was kind of a big gold rush area back in the 1800s. And so there's still quite a bit of gold, around if you go panning for it. And when I was here visiting before my wife and I got married, I went with her dad out and we gold panned quite a bit because I wanted to find enough to make my whole ring. But I literally only found like, say my ring was 8 grams total. I found like half a gram of gold. So the rest is silver, and it's got that gold little set in the silver for my ring. So when I came up with the business name, the brand name, I wanted to kind of incorporate that somehow. So I was like, oh, gold pan Alex. I was like, oh, it doesn't really rhyme or kind of ring that good, And like I said, I went to Cal State Long Beach, and their mascot's the 49ers, which is like from the gold, same as like the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
And their mascot's name is Prospector Pete. He's like a little gold miner guy. So I was like, oh yeah, Gold Pan Pete. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I like that. It has a good ring to it, as you said.
Yeah, so it has a better ring than Gold Pan Alex. So yeah. But the amount of people that I get like emailing me saying, "Oh, hey Pete," calling me Pete, like a bit confusing. But you get a lot of jewelers to be like, "Oh, Alex Moore Jewelry," and it's like, "Oh, it's a bit boring," So I was like, "Yeah, I want to have something that was kind of an actual brand name to it."
This concludes our danse macabre.